Must be what? Must be staying here?
Arrest him.
For what?
For blocking the roadway.
The officer didn't like me being there recording anything.
Put your phone down. Put your hands behind your head.
Hey, Russ, I hope you got this on video.
Cops deal with a lot of risky folks. But what if they have to handle super smart suspects with a 2,381 IQ who know the law even better than them? So these detectives got all worked up when they got outsmarted by some clever folks. It all began on September 17, 2022, when Police Chief Michael Cecchini messed with the wrong kids. Cecchini was bothering Parker, Whan, and Travis Krin, accusing them of causing trouble, but turns out the two were just playing around, and they were about to prove to the chief that they knew their rights.
Why are you doing with the kids? What's going on?
I don't want the kids.
I know where your dad is. I saw him running this way.
What the chief did next was against the law, and Travis was aware of it. Krin told his friend to phone the cops, but Cecchini showed his badge and claimed to be a police officer, trying to scare them. But it didn't work because they knew Cecchini was the person who attacked him. They refused to go away until the real police arrived. Cecchini said his badge gave him the right to hurt anyone, but the teens didn't believe his untrue stories. Check out what Cecchini did next. It's unbelievable. He didn't have any choices left, so his next idea was to make the boys attack him. This way, he thought he'd had some evidence to show the police. But the teenagers were smarter than falling for that plan. Thankfully, they recorded the whole thing, and when the rest of the officers showed up, the chief didn't seem as brave anymore.
Altercation? I may have when I was walking up. He challenged me to fight and dared me to come down. Okay, I came down, he stood off on me, and I did a pectoral jab with my flashlight. Okay.
Cecchini said he was at home not working when he heard two boys breaking things. He'd already asked them to leave, but when one of them threatened him, he chose to go downstairs and handle the situation. However, what he said about what happened was not exactly what went down. Thankfully, the teenagers could also tell their side of the story, and they were honest about it. Of course, Cecchini wanted the two guys to be charged for what happened. But guess what? It turned around on him, and now Cecchini is facing charges. He got accused of assault and battery. And he's not the public safety director or chief of police in Bass City anymore. So there was another cop, and he wanted to blame the person he thought did something bad, even though that person didn't do anything wrong. On August 28, 2022, Haven Galanakis was stopped by police officer Nathan Winters. It was because he had his super bright lights on while driving. Now, even though Tave had a really good reason for it, Officer Winters wasn't interested in hearing it. The cops started asking questions and wanted to see the guy's license and registration, but some of the things he asked were a bit weird. The cops saw Taven acting in the car and smelled alcohol on him. So the cop thought Tave had been drinking even though Taven said he was sober. Officer Winters didn't trust him. So the boy asked for a breath analyzer test to prove he wasn't lying. The teenager wanted to take the test again because he was confident. He even made a video making fun of the situation and the officer. Winters made Taven go through a bunch of tests to check if he was sober. He did all of them except for the breath analyzer test. Galanakis kept asking for the test 3 and 4 times, but with no luck. Instead, the officer just did a different test. And another test. He asked for the test one last time. So after waiting for a full hour, Officer Winters finally got the breath analyzer gadget. But guess what? The results weren't what he thought they'd be. The gadget said 0, but still he went ahead and read out the Miranda rights before taking him into custody. Officer Winters didn't let him see the results and attempted to blame him for smoking weed as well. But Taven quickly figured out what was going on. Winters said he had a reason for arresting Taven, but when he talked on the phone, he admitted something else. Galanakis got caught by the police and taken to the police station. There he had to do another test, but this time it was to check if he had taken any drugs. Good news though, the test showed that Galanakis didn't have any drugs in his system. He wanted to talk one last time with Winters, who worked hard to accuse him. Taven got the final laugh, but these 4 officers were even more troublesome.
Call the cops. Yep, that's right. You call the cops. You just committed murder, right? Chief of police. Call the cops. That doesn't work that way, dude. Yeah. You're gonna tell me the law? What, you think some legal scholar on the Supreme Court? No, Well, like, what are we doing as a police? You can't disturb the peace.
On March 27, 2023, a police officer came up to a person saying they were too close to where the police were dealing with a traffic situation, but the person knew they were standing quite far away. They wanted to make sure everything was done right, so they asked the officer for their badge number. So in the beginning, this cop named Officer Albie tried to avoid answering a question, but the person kept asking, and after a bit of talking back and forth, Officer Albie finally gave in and shared the information. But even with that happening, the cops keep insisting the person should go away from the spot. However, the person doesn't get bothered. He stays firm, explaining that he has the right to be there. He mentions that observing police work from a reasonable distance is allowed by laws, even set by the big shots in the Supreme Court. But things got more serious when more cops came up to the guy. Even though they tried, none of them could scare him. This person was aware of what they were allowed to do, and the police couldn't take any action. So the officers left before risking someone's job. So what goes down when the police get outsmarted by a 15-year-old kid? It's pretty wild. On September 29th, something big happened. The police came to Michael Franik's house to arrest him, thinking he had done something wrong. But Michael's son Jack knew a lot about the rules that say what the police can and can't do. It all started because Jack was riding his loud bike, making the neighbors mad. They didn't like him being around and even threatened him. Jack's dad stepped in to protect him and got into a big argument with the neighbors. Someone called the police and said that Jack's dad had a weapon in his pants. When the police got there, they wanted to talk to Franik, but he didn't want to answer their questions or leave his house. He asked for their names and badge numbers, but the police didn't listen.
Badge number, please.
I don't even know why you're here right now.
I asked you a direct question. Do you have your badge number on
And
you?
I asked you to leave because right now you're not allowed to be on our traffic.
Things got worse when they started asking him about something he didn't know anything about. The cop said he should leave, but he said no. Then things got physical. The police tried to arrest him forcefully even though he didn't have any weapons. Suddenly, without doing anything wrong, Michael was tased and pulled outside by the police. Luckily, Jack recorded everything, even when a police officer tried to prevent him. The police took Jack's dad and they even hurt him while doing it. But when Jack wanted to speak up, they stopped him. They thought he was too clever and might cause problems for them. So the only thing they could do was keep the young one and warn him about juvenile court, but the police knew he didn't have any charges against him at all. Jack knew what he could do because he understood his rights. After some time, the police learned that Michael had permission to carry a hidden gun. As long as he didn't show it off and nobody complained, he was okay to have it. So the police didn't have any reason to charge him. All that was left for the police to do was create a story because there wasn't any real crime happening. However, things didn't go well for the police officers. Officer Rodriguez got in trouble for 5 rule-breaking things like using a taser on Michael. Officer Thor was also found guilty of 3 rule violations. Both of them lost their jobs. On top of that, Michael took legal action and asked for more than $1 million to make up for what happened. This shows what can go wrong when just anyone can become a cop. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.